such a beautiful island. Reahabell, Sasha, and Chloe, while walking through the forest, discovered a special place. Go a little further through a forest full of wildflowers, and you will reach a place brimming with mysterious energy. They fell in love with the beautiful forest. There's a huge sound coming from somewhere. It was a huge waterfall. They were overwhelmed by the waterfall of the forest they had never seen before. Reahabell and her friends slid down with the force of the mighty waterfall, and there was a splash sound that burst out. Reahabell and her friends floated on the water and looked up at the sky. The sky is blue through the beautiful branches of the forest. The sky was as clear and beautiful as a river. It got colder after playing in the water for a long time. Reahabell and her friends came out of the water. They were shivering from the cold. Reahabell and her friends had to dry their wet clothes quickly. They moved to a cozy place near the waterfall. When they reached the rock, they stopped in surprise. Reahabell and her friends looked up slowly from the bottom to the top in amazement.
Oh my goodness!
They exclaimed in surprise when they saw the humana pretty woman with round eyes. However, even at that moment, they were still shivering with cold. The woman looked at Reahabell and her friends and smiled.
Oh, you are giant caterpillars. Your clothes are soaking wet. You're going to catch a cold.
The woman said with concern.
Well, I'll give you new clothes to change. You girls need them right away.
The woman said. Reahabell and her friends changed into soft and pretty clothes.
Oh, it's so pretty!
Exclaimed Reahabell and her friends as they admired each other's clothes. They truly loved them. They went round and round holding hands, feeling as if they were flying. She is gentle and has a beautiful voice like a fairy.
Welcome to Tamra Island. I hope you enjoy a wonderful adventure. If you need help again someday, come and see me,
said the woman with a warm smile.
If you go straight on this forest road, you will find the village. Ask at the woodcutter's house, and the people there will tell you,
the woman explained. She hurriedly returned home. She was going to prepare dinner for her beloved husband. The sun has set and the moon has risen. After dinner, her husband, a woodcutter, gave me a present.
Oh, it's a silk cloth. What is it?
She wondered.
I will return it to you. It's been a year since I met you. Actually, I have a confession to make. Please forgive me,
he said. The woodcutter happened to go to the waterfall and saw the fairies. Instantly falling in love, the woodcutter secretly took the fairy's wingsuit and hid it away. The fairy couldn't fly up to the sky anymore because her wingsuit had disappeared. She met a woodcutter, fell in love, and got married in the human world. The next day, the fairy said,
Honey, I'll go to heaven for a while. I miss my friends so much.
The woodcutter was worried that she wouldn't return, but he couldn't hold it against her for not coming back. He felt sorry for her. The woodcutter knew that it wouldn't have been easy for heavenly beings to live in the human world. He felt sad, but he didn't express it.
Go ahead. I should have confessed my feelings to you sooner, but I apologize once again,
said the woodcutter. When the fairy went to the waterfall in the forest and sang, other fairies descended from the sky. The woodcutter's wife went up to the sky with the other fairies. The woodcutter was very sad. He believed he would never see his wife, the fairy, again. It felt as though he had lost everything in the world. Reahabell and her friends watched the whole scene with amazement and curiosity. Sasha said,
I feel sorry for the woodcutter.
Chloe also had tears in her eyes.
Will the fairy never return again?
Reahabell was also heartbroken.
Can't the fairy and the woodcutter live happily together forever?
The fairy who returned to heaven missed her husband greatly. She tried to go back right away, but there was a rule in heaven that didn't allow her to return to the human world. The time in heaven and the time in the human world were not the same. Time passed more slowly in the sky. The fairy cried every day and gazed at her husband through the crystal ball. She missed her husband even more, and her heart ached as she saw her woodcutter husband crying every day. The fairy's body grew weaker and weaker due to her emotional distress. The other fairies were also filled with sorrow, and they pleaded with the Emperor of Heaven to grant them a reunion. The Emperor of Heaven was moved and granted them permission to meet again. However, he stated that she could not return to the heavens. The fairy was happy to meet her husband again. She thanked the emperor and went back to the human world. The fairy and the woodcutter met again. They cried tears of joy. The fairy and the woodcutter were filled with happiness. They made a promise to never part again. When the white pigeon, the messenger of heaven, flew and dropped the seeds, the fairy and the woodcutter's home was filled with silk and treasures of gold. The shabby clothes of the fairy and the woodcutter turned into noble cloth. The fairy and the woodcutter worked diligently, loved each other, and took care of their neighbors. They were so happy. The heavenly emperor was moved by the fairy's decision to descend to the human world and bless and serve its people. One day, fairies descended from the sky, and the fairy was given her wingsuit back. The fairy was overjoyed. She ascended to the sky wearing her fairy wingsuit. Don't worry too much. This time, her husband, the woodcutter, went up with her. The end. See you soon!